And I don't think he'll change. You know, he is committed of his own level of service. That will remain true.
Princess Anne's early warnings to her brother, King Charles, about his relationship with Camilla are well documented in royal circles and public interviews. In the years before the official acknowledgment of Charles and Camilla's romance, Anne was reportedly one of the few members of the royal family who openly expressed her concerns about the impact this relationship could have on both Charles personally and the monarchy as a whole. Princess Anne's fears stemmed from her pragmatic view of royal duties and public perception. She understood that the monarchy was under intense scrutiny and that any scandal could have long-lasting repercussions. In the early 1990s, when Charles's relationship with Camilla was still a subject of rumors and speculation, Anne allegedly cautioned her brother against keeping Camilla too close, fearing the public fallout. According to some reports, Anne worried that Charles's personal choices, specifically maintaining an ongoing relationship with Camilla while married to Princess Diana, would invite a media frenzy, damaging the royal family's reputation. Anne's worries weren't just about family dynamics. She foresaw the growing media interest in Camilla, whose history with Charles went back years, even before his marriage to Diana. Camilla's past, particularly her role in the breakdown of Charles and Diana's marriage, was a highly controversial subject, and Anne believed that continuing to involve her in the royal narrative could risk a scandal that would overshadow the monarchy's work. Anne, who was known for her no-nonsense approach to royal duties, reportedly told Charles that he was playing with fire, recognizing that the media would not hesitate to exploit any hint of controversy. Despite Anne's concerns, Charles did not heed her advice. As the relationship between Charles and Camilla continued to grow publicly, Anne's warnings about the potential damage to the royal image seemed increasingly justified. The media firestorm surrounding Diana's divorce and the subsequent scandal over Camilla's involvement only served to reinforce Anne's position that such a situation could have been avoided with more discretion in the early stages of Charles and Camilla's relationship. Source: BBC News. In hindsight, Princess Anne's cautionary stance toward her brother's relationship with Camilla proves to have been prescient. While the public opinion of Camilla has softened over time, Anne's early warnings underscore the delicate balancing act the royal family had to manage in the face of relentless media scrutiny and public sentiment. Princess Anne's concerns about the public image of the royal family, especially in relation to Camilla's involvement with her brother, King Charles, have been evident for many years. Anne, known for her directness and sense of duty, was keenly aware of how media scrutiny could influence public opinion. She was particularly cautious about the impact of Charles's relationship with Camilla, given the highly publicized and painful breakdown of his marriage to Princess Diana. From the outset, Anne recognized that the monarchy's reputation was fragile, and the ongoing media attention on Charles and Camilla's relationship posed a serious risk to their public standing. The affair, which had been ongoing during Charles's marriage to Diana, was a deeply divisive issue, and Anne feared that it would exacerbate the public's already negative view of the royal family, particularly after Diana's death. At the time, public sympathy for Diana was still overwhelming, and Anne understood that the royal family would have to navigate this emotional minefield carefully. One of Anne's primary concerns was the damage that the scandal could cause to the royal family's image. She believed that Charles's relationship with Camilla, given its history, could create a long-lasting rift between the monarchy and the public. The royal family had long been expected to set an example of moral integrity, and the public reaction to the affair could severely undermine that image. Anne's pragmatic nature made her see the bigger picture. The monarchy's role in British society depended on its ability to maintain respectability and public trust. Any scandal that seemed to break this trust could have lasting repercussions. As the years passed and the media continued to spotlight Camilla's role in Charles's life, Anne's concerns about the monarchy's image only intensified. She was particularly wary of the idea of Camilla becoming a more visible public figure, as this could lead to further tension within the royal family. Anne, who had always been known for her stoic and reserved demeanor, feared that Camilla's presence might alienate the public even further, especially those who still held strong loyalty to Diana. In 1995, when Princess Diana gave her infamous Panorama interview, revealing the deep emotional turmoil caused by the marriage breakdown and the affair, the monarchy's worst fears seemed to be realized. Diana's frank discussion about 3 people in her marriage only solidified the negative public perception of Camilla, which had already been growing for years. Anne, though not one to publicly express her emotions, knew that this interview would have a profound impact on Charles's public standing and, by extension, on the royal family. When Charles and Camilla eventually married in 2005, their union was subdued and careful. The royal wedding was a simple civil ceremony, deliberately avoiding the grandeur typically associated with royal weddings. This decision was likely a reflection of the royal family's awareness of the sensitive nature of the union and their desire to avoid stirring up more public controversy. Although public opinion had softened somewhat by this point, the royal family's cautious approach to Camilla's integration into royal duties reflected Anne's long-standing concerns about the impact of the relationship on their public image. In the years following their marriage, Camilla gradually gained more acceptance within the royal family, and to some extent among the public. However, Anne's foresight about the potential for lasting damage to the royal family's reputation highlights the delicate nature of public opinion, especially when it comes to high-profile relationships and scandals. While the public's feelings toward Camilla have evolved over time, Anne's early warnings serve as a reminder of the importance of carefully managing the monarchy's image in the face of controversy. Princess Diana's impact on the royal family, especially regarding the media fallout from her marriage to Prince Charles, was profound and enduring. Known for her emotional transparency and strong connection with the public, Diana's life became a symbol of both personal hardship and resilience. The media, which had closely followed her from the beginning of her relationship with Charles, intensified their focus on the turmoil within their marriage, particularly after revelations of Charles's ongoing affair with Camilla Parker Bowles. This not only placed a massive strain on Diana and Charles's relationship, but also brought the royal family under intense public scrutiny. One of the most significant events that shaped the media narrative surrounding Diana was her 1995 Panorama interview with Martin Bashir. During this interview, Diana candidly spoke about her struggles within the marriage, famously declaring, "There were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded." Her revelations, especially regarding Charles's affair with Camilla, shattered the carefully curated image of the royal family as an idealized institution. The interview turned public sentiment strongly against Charles and Camilla, positioning Diana as the tragic figure in the royal drama. This marked a turning point in the monarchy's relationship with the British public, as it exposed the personal failings of its most prominent members. The media fallout from the interview was immediate and severe. British tabloids, already fascinated by the royal family's private lives, seized on the interview's revelations, turning Diana into a global symbol of heartbreak and betrayal. The public, particularly in the UK, overwhelmingly sided with Diana, which fueled widespread criticism of Charles and the monarchy. Public opinion, once supportive of the royal family, began to erode, as many saw the monarchy as out of touch with the struggles of ordinary people. The intense media coverage, which had already been relentless in its pursuit of Diana's personal life, reached new heights, with every detail of her life scrutinized. Diana's image, now intertwined with public sympathy, became one of a victim, and the monarchy, especially Charles and Camilla, was seen as the villain. The royal family's response to this crisis was one of caution and damage control. Queen Elizabeth II's initial reluctance to intervene, followed by her eventual call for a divorce between Charles and Diana, was seen by some as a failure to address the situation head-on. This lack of decisive action further fueled the media narrative that the royal family was struggling to handle the fallout from Diana's revelations. For many, the Queen's response seemed to underline the monarchy's disconnect from the realities of personal struggle, particularly given Diana's public vulnerability. The public sympathy for Diana only deepened following her tragic death in a car accident in 1997. The media coverage of her funeral was unprecedented, with millions around the world watching as the public mourned the loss of a beloved figure. Diana's death marked the apex of her transformation from a royal figure to an international icon, and the media, though often criticized for their role in her demise, continued to perpetuate her legacy. In the years following her death, public sentiment remained firmly on Diana's side, while Charles and Camilla's relationship continued to be scrutinized, particularly as they navigated the difficult terrain of public opinion in the wake of Diana's death. For Camilla, the media fallout from Diana's death created an atmosphere of intense hostility. She was widely seen as the third party in Charles and Diana's marriage, and public perception of her was largely negative for years. The press, in particular, painted Camilla as the other woman, and she became a focal point for much of the public's anger toward the royal family. Even after Charles and Camilla's marriage in 2005, the couple's public appearances were often overshadowed by comparisons to Diana, with the media frequently revisiting the affair that had dominated the royal narrative for years. The fallout from Diana's interview and her subsequent death left a lasting impact on the royal family's image. It reshaped the public's perception of the monarchy, highlighting the fragility of royal authority and the importance of maintaining public support. For Princess Anne, Diana's influence and the media fallout were a cautionary tale about the complexities of public opinion and the need for careful management of the monarchy's image in the face of personal scandals. While the royal family has since worked to rebuild its reputation, the events of the 1990s, especially the media frenzy surrounding Diana, remain a defining chapter in its modern history. The question of Camilla Parker Bowles's loyalty and character has been a subject of public debate for decades, especially due to her long-standing relationship with Prince Charles, which became a source of scandal and media scrutiny. Their affair, which began while Charles was still married to Princess Diana, sparked widespread criticism and led many to question Camilla's integrity. Public perception of her was largely shaped by her role as the other woman in Charles and Diana's troubled marriage, and for many years she was vilified in the media. The affair, which became widely known in the 1990s, was seen by some as a betrayal of Diana, who had already been enduring immense pressure in her marriage. Despite the negative press, Camilla's relationship with Charles remained steadfast, and she became a central figure in his life. Over time, however, questions surrounding her character and loyalty continued to surface. Camilla was often portrayed as being manipulative, cold, and calculating, a view that was reinforced by media coverage of her relationship with Charles during and after Diana's public revelations. Critics suggested that she had been a major influence on Charles, contributing to the breakdown of his marriage to Diana, while others claimed that she had waited patiently for years for Charles to return to her, even after his marriage to Diana. In the years following Diana's tragic death, the public's perception of Camilla began to shift, albeit slowly. As Charles and Camilla's relationship became more public, questions about Camilla's intentions and loyalty remained. Many royal watchers questioned whether her motives were purely driven by love for Charles, or if she had been seeking power and influence within the royal family. While some suggested that Camilla was genuinely in love with Charles, others felt that her desire to become a prominent royal figure, especially after the death of Princess Diana, played a significant role in her persistence. Despite the ongoing doubts about her character, Camilla slowly began to carve out her role within the royal family, particularly after her marriage to Charles in 2005. However, questions about her loyalty continued to surface, especially regarding her relationship with Diana. Critics pointed to the fact that Camilla had remained a constant presence in Charles's life, even during his marriage to Diana, as evidence of her questionable loyalty. Furthermore, her history with Charles, which predated Diana's marriage to him, meant that her entry into the royal family was always bound to be controversial. One of the most significant turning points in public opinion occurred after the release of the 1995 BBC interview with Diana, in which the princess openly accused both Charles and Camilla of being responsible for the breakdown of her marriage. In the aftermath of the interview, Camilla's role in the affair was scrutinized more intensely, with many believing that she had been a catalyst for the tension between Diana and Charles. The media frenzy that followed painted Camilla as a heartless figure, and she struggled for years to win back public favor. Over time, however, Camilla worked diligently to reshape her image. As she became more involved in charitable work, particularly in the fields of literacy, domestic violence, and animal rights, public opinion began to shift. Camilla's efforts to appear more approachable and grounded, along with her advocacy for various causes, helped improve her standing among the British public. Still, the question of her loyalty and character continued to linger, as many saw her as the person who had been at the center of the royal family's most significant scandal. The complexities surrounding Camilla's loyalty were further complicated by her gradual acceptance into the royal fold. As Charles and Camilla's relationship became more official, many speculated about whether Camilla was truly accepted by the royal family. Queen Elizabeth II, who had been initially cautious about the relationship, ultimately gave her approval, and Camilla was eventually given the title of Duchess of Cornwall. However, Camilla's past, including her affair with Charles, continued to shadow her, and there remained a vocal group of detractors who questioned her motives and integrity. In the years following their marriage, Camilla began to assume more official royal duties, and her public image continued to evolve. Despite the lingering doubts about her loyalty and character, she was increasingly seen as a stabilizing force in Charles's life, and her role in the royal family became more prominent. Nonetheless, the question of whether Camilla had been fully loyal to Charles or whether her actions had been driven by ambition continued to fuel discussions and remains a subject of interest among royal observers. Ultimately, her reputation within the royal family has been rebuilt to some extent, but the shadows of her past will likely continue to color her legacy for years to come. The timing of Charles and Camilla's relationship has been a topic of significant controversy and public interest. Their love story spans decades, with many seeing the timing of their romantic involvement as a major factor in the breakdown of Charles's marriage to Princess Diana. While Charles and Camilla had a long history of friendship that eventually blossomed into romance, their relationship began at a particularly sensitive time, both for Charles personally and for the monarchy as a whole. Charles and Camilla first met in the early 1970s, and their connection was instant. However, due to Camilla's engagement to Andrew Parker Bowles, their romantic relationship never fully materialized at that point. In the meantime, Charles married Diana in 1981, and the couple's highly publicized wedding made them the darlings of the British public. However, behind the scenes, Charles's ongoing emotional attachment to Camilla was a source of strain in his marriage to Diana, as he continued his affair with her for years. The timing of their relationship became particularly contentious in the 1990s when the details of their affair were exposed. In 1992, the British tabloid The Sun published an infamous transcript of an intimate phone conversation between Charles and Camilla. This revelation made it clear that Charles and Camilla had been in contact and maintaining a relationship throughout Charles's marriage to Diana. The timing of this scandal was critical, as it occurred at the height of public interest in the royal family's personal lives, and it further fueled Diana's emotional distress and the breakdown of her marriage to Charles. This affair became one of the key reasons behind the separation of Charles and Diana in 1992, with their divorce finalized in 1996. The timing of Charles and Camilla's relationship during this period was particularly damaging to Charles's public image. Diana's popularity skyrocketed, while Charles was criticized for being unfaithful and out of touch with the public. Following Diana's tragic death in 1997, Charles's relationship with Camilla became even more scrutinized. It was a time of great public grief, and many viewed Camilla's presence in Charles's life as insensitive. The couple's relationship was officially recognized in the early 2000s, and their relationship slowly became more public. However, the timing of their relationship's emergence from the shadows during a time of national mourning for Diana did little to endear them to the public, and it took years for Camilla to shed her image as the other woman. In 2005, Charles and Camilla married in a civil ceremony, marking the culmination of their long relationship. By this point, Camilla had become more accepted by the public, especially after she began engaging in charitable work and focusing on causes like literacy and domestic violence. However, the timing of their relationship's earlier years, the affair during Charles's marriage, the public scandals, and the timing of Diana's death remained a contentious issue for many. Their relationship, viewed by some as an enduring love story, was still clouded by its timing, and questions about Camilla's role in the royal family's scandals persist. The timing of Charles and Camilla's relationship, marked by the affair during Charles's marriage and the public fallouts that followed, will always be seen as a defining element of their story within the royal narrative. Despite their eventual marriage, the shadow of the timing of their romance continues to influence public perceptions of the couple and their legacy. The family dynamics and tensions within the British royal family have long been a subject of public fascination, especially regarding the relationship between King Charles, Camilla, and their children from previous marriages. These dynamics have been complicated by personal, political, and public factors, making them a central point of royal discourse for decades. Charles's relationship with his sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, has been strained at various points, particularly due to the circumstances surrounding his marriage to Princess Diana and his affair with Camilla. Prince William, who was a young child during his parents' separation and divorce, has often been seen as more supportive of his father, though their relationship has not been without difficulties. Prince Harry, on the other hand, has been more vocal in his criticism of Charles's handling of both his marriage to Diana and his relationship with Camilla. Harry's decision to step back from royal duties in 2020 further strained relations, with Charles's relationship with his younger son increasingly characterized by distance and misunderstandings. Camilla's integration into the royal family also contributed to the tensions, especially with her role in the breakdown of Charles's first marriage. For many years, Camilla was seen as a divisive figure, and her presence at royal events was often met with mixed reactions from the public and the family. Her relationship with the late Queen Elizabeth was initially distant, with the monarch reportedly reluctant to fully embrace her as a member of the royal family. However, in the years leading up to the Queen's passing, Camilla's role became more accepted, and her involvement in royal duties increased. Despite efforts to present a unified front, tensions within the royal family remained palpable. the more open displays of affection between Charles and Camilla, especially after their marriage in 2005, were not always well received by all family members. Camilla's role in Charles's life was seen by some as a source of division, particularly as the public reconciled the idea of her becoming queen consort, a title she was awarded upon Charles's ascension to the throne. These family dynamics continue to play out publicly, with ongoing media scrutiny of the relationships between Charles, Camilla, and their extended family. Overall, the royal family's internal tensions have been deeply influenced by the complex history of Charles's relationships, the shadow of Princess Diana's legacy, and Camilla's gradual acceptance into royal circles. These dynamics continue to evolve, reflecting both personal struggles and the broader challenges of navigating public perception in a modern monarchy.